Greetings, everyone. Here we are with another delightful video. This time it's going to be over the starter set for Fallout, the role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment. It feels to be like a fairly reasonably sized box. It's slightly thinner than a standard box, but roughly the same height in width as a standard tabletop role-playing game starter set. I have not opened this one yet, so has the plastic on it fresh. It actually has a really nice, this is very on point for the era in which Fallout is replicating the evolution of and conclusion of and so forth. So here we go. That does really fit like a 19... It's kind of like the 1950s, 60s touch to it, but it's still modern-esque, which is kind of the case with Fallout. You have a book here for the basic rules, which is a must for starter sets. An adventure book, starter set starting character sheets, which is a must. You have beginning dice, and you have Nuka-Cola cap tokens to act as action points or currency. That's an actually really nice detail right there. All these things in the first 4 slots are all core essentials that you should have in a starter set. If you combine the Game Master stuff into the book for the players, that begins issues because some people will have a compulsive urge when they are new to a TTRPG to try to metagame, and you try to... because a good chunk of gaming nerd culture is just nerd geek culture dorks have a natural tendency to want to research things to get ahead, and some people naturally take that researching tendency to a unhealthy conclusion by trying to learn about all the core mechanics of the monsters and the adventures and shit like that, because to them studying for a thing on a test or something like that is just the natural direction you're supposed to go as a human being. So the problem with that is that they will naturally want to look at the Game Master stuff and learn as much of it as they can. And of course, if they want to be a Game Master themselves, that's perfectly fine. The problem is when they're just a straight-up player and they just want to study the Game Master stuff so they know the inside track of how all the mechanics work. And they know how the monster, the stats of the monsters, they know the... oh, by the way, this is a treated inside a top lid of the box, so that's actually pretty good as a dice tray. Or something I learned recently is that... I never knew this before, but if you wanted to, you can use the boxes of a starter set as a dice tray screen for the Game Master by setting it up like this. It was something that I picked up from the Octoon Cthulhu 2nd Edition starter set, which is a rather clever use of the box and the top lid and the bottom lid box, just so the players, so the Game Master has something to roll into, and also something to look up, because they also happen to have all the rules inside the box and top. So that's another thing I had to add to my list of things to add to stuff. So here we go. This is a custom dice system. This is based on the 2D20 system. However, Modiphius, the 2D20 core system that Modiphius uses, has a rather interesting aspect to it. This is exceedingly important whenever you're going to go into Modiphius 2D20 systems, is that fundamentally the core of the 2D20 system is using 2 or more D20s to determine range of successes on various things by granting yourself essentially advantage, super advantage, mega advantage, etc., or creating ranges of possibility for success by using multiple D20s. However, every 2D20 system Modiphius has deviates in one area or another in its system specifically for the TTRPG. In the case of Fallout, the role-playing game, this system not just is based on the 2d20 system, but instead they use custom dice for the d6s, which is something I typically do not like in a TTRPG, because usually this results in the rulebook being written in a fashion where it incorporates the symbols, and the people have to learn the symbols to play the game, which is an extra step in itself. Second thing is that this results in people having to buy new dice for the system. And third thing is, if there is a conversion set for a conversion table for the symbols on the dice, you end up with a problem of having to teach a person based on the symbols and then convert those symbols to numbers. And then whenever you have to look up a rule, you have to convert the rule information in the box or the books from symbols to numbers again, so the players can understand. So even when you have a conversion rule set to convert symbols to numbers, it still adds extra headaches for the game master and players that are new to the system. I've never really played much in the way of custom dice systems, because every time they come up or they get experimented in any groups I've ever been in, they usually fall flat pretty quickly, because there's the whole act of having to switch between numbers and symbols if people want to convert from the symbol to the numbers is just enough to shut down on continuing to use that system. So there you go. There's also what you can see here. It looks to be a third D20, but the third D20 has words on it for different locations on the body. In Fallout, there is this system called VATS, where you can target different portions of an individual's body, and you have different rules of probability for hitting that different location. They are not actually 100% accurate. In the case of video games, I'm talking about the video game for the moment, those numbers are actually fudged a little bit. Okay? Same thing goes for any other computer role-playing game that has percentages for hitting something. They're usually fudged by some portion. Like 95% is not 95%. You might actually have only an 80% chance, or you might have a 100% chance, depending on which way the video game fudges the numbers. But it's different with each one. So we have custom dice. We got 4 D6s that have custom symbols, 2 standard D20s, with the exception of that one of the faces on the D20, the normal standard D20, has the eye symbol. And then we also have another another D20 that happens to have locations of impact for targeting. We happen to have the book here. This is, I believe this is the core rule book. This is a standard staple bound book, 2 staples on the side. Super common for having them to two staples. It's extremely rare to ever come across a staple bound book that actually has more than 2 staples, but they do exist. It's a simple floppy. The artwork on it is actually exceptionally good. You have a nice little advertisement on the back side for the expansions to the system, as well as a board game, Wargaming of the Wastelands miniatures game for Fallout. So you have stuff here for the regular Fallout, and then you have a board game version. And I'm actually now curious as to whether the board game can be integrated into the tabletop role-playing game, considering that Modiphius is advertising both together on the back of this book. That might be a natural tendency for people to say, like, oh wait, there's this war game. Could we actually use that to? We should use that. Oh wait, I know what people would think. And they see it on the back of the cover. They see this and they think, oh, that's an expansion to this. and they might go get it, and then they might get pissed off if that is not an expansion to this, and it's a totally separate game. So there you go. You got advertisements for both ends on the back. You open the main page. Let's see how this goes out. This is very on point for the Fallout franchise in the art style. For the before the war times, actually it's back over here, that's the beginning. The table of contents is actually very small and sparse. I'm not entirely certain as if that is the entire range of the topics that are covered in this book, but considering that that's only using up a third of the page, I would probably advise strongly in the case of Modiphius that if you run into a situation where all your information, all your table of contents is only a third of a page, that you should probably subsection and expand it out specifically so that everything that's covered in that chapter is covered under that tag. That way it makes it a whole lot easier for people to find what they're looking for. You have the extra page space there. You might as well use it. You have the Welcome to the Wasteland section, which is basically the introduction to the system. Setting expectations, gathering the group, prepare to play, all good stuff to cover. Pre-generated player characters boxed out here. You have a nice little advertisement for special. Pick the jobs that fit you. How to be a player, flow of the game. How to be a game master, which is all good stuff for a starter set. People might gripe about, some of the old people like, you don't have to tell people what a TTRPG is in books, and there's some truth to that. Like in the core rule book or supplemental books, explaining in depth what a tabletop role-playing game is eating up a lot of page space. But in the case of a starter set, yes, that is actually exceedingly important to cover in a starter set, because anything that is a starter set or a beginner box or a quick start rules pamphlet, you definitely want to have like an explanation of the structure of a TTRPG and potential range of possibilities in the games of TTRPGs. And this is Managing the Flow, Running a Safe Game, which mentions the basics of safety, playing the game safely. You got a nice little section listing on Chapter 2, which is characteristics, which is strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. It is actually very nice that they incorporate as much Fallout into the system as possible with the post-war and pre-war artwork being good juxtaposition. You have a nice little box right here, a skill summary that covers all your skills. The default attribute, it's nice that they include the word default in there and detail of that. And then you have tag skills information. You got derived statistics, carry weight, defense, damage resistance, initiative, and so forth in here. That's rather nice. It is actually, if you pay attention very closely, they do a very good job of creating empty space around different sections. That way, it doesn't just create a run-on image in the eye. Some people who have ADHD, dyslexia, other mental quirks, will oftentimes, if there's not enough dead space between the title and the words, the paragraph, the brain has a harder time processing that. It's also a very good idea to bolden key mechanics. In the case of people with dyslexia or ADHD, it's important to capitalize the first letter of almost every word. That's actually a weird quirk of people with ADHD, is that capitalizing every word is common. Same thing with people with dyslexia. Dyslexics are actually very much, you should capitalize every word, as that helps with them organizing the words because it defines what's the first letter and the last letter. Interestingly enough, new advice and studies show that it is in fact a good idea to capitalize the first two letters and the last two letters of any word for people with for books that might be given to someone with dyslexia, as that will make it easier for them to read it. Default attributes and skills, complications, dice pool. It's the Modiphius 2d20 systems are actually a variant of a dice pool system hybrided with a standard dice system. However, they do kind of have like characters. As I said, they have characteristics of both dice systems. Difficulty: 0 tests, opposed tests, assistance, group tests. As I said before, they do a very nice job of bolding text and creating empty space and placing nice pieces of artwork throughout the entire book. I do like charts, as it is an object that is very clearly different than a wall of text, and that way when you're quickly glancing through, you can easily spot a chart to bonus d20 costs right here. 2d20, 3d20, 4d20, 5d20, and then the bonus d20s, which is a plus 3d20 and so forth. AP costs. So if you spend more AP for your character, you can increase how many d20s you can roll. In the case of the system, they only give you 2 regular d20s with the special 20 symbols. So you're going to have to get more d20s to actually make use of this mechanic. However, if you play other TTRPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, you already have d20s, so you're fine. So we have an explanation on luck and how that works. And as we can see, as I go through this book, it's new chapters are very clearly demarked as a new chapter. They don't waste a whole lot of space with a ton of art. However, at the same time, they do incorporate nice artwork throughout the book, just to help generate a sense of the world. So we have a good general vibe of this. We also have, let's get to the beginning of this, reference lists or perks list. So you have you can gain various perks as a character in the system. That is nice. They do a pretty good job, from what I can see, of incorporating the Fallout special system into the Modiphius 2d20 system and modifying in both to accommodate the nature of a tabletop role-playing game. So if it wasn't for the fact that this system uses custom D6s, I actually would be rather interested in trying this out with people. I might actually take this to one of my groups and show it to them and see what they think of it. You have a nice little section on pricing of weapons in the back, ranged equipment, melee and thrown, as well as explosives, armor, and more. Got food and beverage section right here. Chems, junk, magazines your characters can find, miscellaneous items, and so forth. You have a nice little advertisement for Octoon Cthulhu back here as well as Dune. The Adventure Game Master book is also a two staple saddle bound book. And it's also, as you can see, it's a floppy as well. It definitely has, the artwork on the cover definitely has that pulp feeling to it. It has a different color theme as opposed to yellow with the player book or the core rule book. You have green as the header bars. You have a nice little introduction, explanation of Part 1 into Vault 95, setting up the world to establish your characters, and then it walks you into Vault 95. to get you going. And it has really nice broad text. And that's pretty much it for what I'm going to show you. You do have, let's see here if I can find a stat block of something. The stat blocks are actually rather easy to read. I do like that very much. If you can see on the top, there is the letters special or the word special, and below that, that's obviously the numbers that tie into the special stats. You have your skills that are related for that character. On the very top, you also have the name of it, of the character, level, what it is, notable characters, 62 XP you gain for probably defeating him. You have HP, initiative, defense, carrying weight, and everything else is blocked out rather nice. This is actually what appears to be a superior setup of a stat block compared to, say, maybe like Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition 2014. Because I do actually like the organization on that very much. Yet again, there is also some really nice artwork throughout the book for the Game Master to look at. There's actually some rather interesting creatures in here too. That's nice. And then we have the tokens here. And apparently, one of the tokens has fallen out of its place. The tokens have the bottle cap backside. And there you got blue ones, and you have mostly red tokens for the game system. And then we have the character sheets. These are the default character sheets. They're actually construction paper, so they're actually fairly thick and durable. They look to be not designed to be upgraded or used continuously beyond the adventure in which you start in. However, it is important to note, as you can see, that these character sheets are actually quite clear and easy to read. They're not overly complicated with stuff, yet at the same time there is enough artistic detail and personality with them to actually maintain the feel of the setting. And you have a nice little explanation right there of stuff. So overall, I do feel that these character sheets are actually quite nice. You actually have multiple of them, as I said before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I should count those again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actually. You have a Vault Dweller, a Survivor, a Ghoul, a Super Mutant, a Brotherhood Initiate, and a Mr. Handy is also a part of your group. Each one of these, with the exception of... Well, that's actually funny. Every one has the standard Vault Boy in the image. Even the Super Mutant and the Brotherhood Initiate. However, when we get to Mr. Handy, we got a Mr. Handy there. That's kind of neat. So that's cool. The bottom of the box is also treated as well, so it's actually going to be lasting a lot longer than most of starter set boxes. So that's actually rather nice. Oops, I put that in there upside down. I should put the caps in there and then that. Overall, I do say you got a nice little table on the backside of the Game Master's book of various things. I do say that this is actually rather nicely set up. It is fairly reasonably priced. Now here's my thoughts. First and foremost, I do very much like the art style. They do put a good deal of effort into making the text as clear to read as possible, and also having enough artwork in there to easily maintain and illustrate what the setting looks like. There's a core rulebook, as well as a basic core rulebook, as well as a Game Master Adventure book. So you don't have issue with players reading the Game Master stuff. You have really nice character sheets. The negative side of the character sheets is that they're not customizable. So, and there's no generic character sheet that doesn't have any of the information filled out on it. So you can't make characters from the character sheet. So there's no blank character sheets in here. You have the nice little bottle caps that you can use as currency or tokens for various things. So that's also a really good thing. You got the bottle cap that has the Nuka-Cola logo on one side, and the bottle cap metal side on the underside, so you can turn them over and make triple use of those bottle caps, which is really nice. My only thing is that for a system that is built on using multiple D20s beyond 2 for bonuses, there's only 2 D20s in this box, so there probably should be more D20s. Actually, the symbol is not the special symbol is not for the D20 for the 20. It's actually for the 1. But anyways, because I actually see there's a 20 here, and then there's that symbol. So there you go. So anyways, it's a really nice system. It seems to be solidly put together overall. There would be nice if there was cheat sheets in here. That would bring it up in a score, as well as a Game Master, a little cheap Game Master screen for the Game Master, or putting the rules inside the box, much like Achtung Cthulhu does. Which, interestingly enough, this is a game that's made by Modiphius Entertainment, and Achtung Cthulhu is also made by Modiphius Entertainment. The fact that they did it in one box, putting the rules inside the box for the Game Master, and not in this one, is rather interesting. A sad situation where information, maybe between different development teams, is not being passed back and forth, where they can learn from each other to improve all the products of every that ever comes out of Modiphius. So there you go. Overall, it's a fairly solid 3.75 stars. It's well made. It's not overly expensive. It is 2 to 7 players, ages 14 and up. So you have all your essentials. You just and an extra little bottle cap tokens. However, there's not much beyond that. But whatever they do, they did very well. So largely the score is basically they did a good job. They did all the basics. They made sure to cover a lot of the stuff that they should and make it easy enough to read for people with varying levels of reading capacity, but that is functional. And they did a nice thing by including the bottle cap tokens in there. So yeah, it's a 3.75. Overall, it's a pretty good product. It could be better, absolutely. I listed a few short reasons how to make it better by putting rules references on sheets and putting it in the box, and then putting a Game Master screen together, and you have a few more things, and that would be awesome. But overall, it's a pretty good product. It's not a terribly thick box. It's not a terribly big box. So it's not going to eat up unnecessary amounts of space on your shelf if you put it on your shelf. The box is just thick enough, just deep enough that the dice fit in it without having excess space over it. And there's no extra wasted cardboard inside the box to create a little dumb pocket to store dice in, okay? that's unnecessary to it. So overall, this is a fairly well put together product. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And check out my other videos on my channel, as well as the community tab. The community tab, I regularly post up polls for TTRPGs that are coming up, just so I know what people are most interested in. The next one is going to start with, well, this is going to be a shift in flavor. Tales of Equestria, the storytelling game, starter set from River Horse for the My Little Pony IP. So, believe it or not, there's actually 2 My Little Pony tabletop role-playing games. One from River Horse, and one from, I think, Renegade Studios. So there you go. That's going to be the start of the next wave of starter sets. So thank you very much for watching. Have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful weekend, a magnificent month, and see you next time. Ciao.